Do this. Boom. Okay. Now it's time for Why You're Wrong with Gregg Dietz.
Are we good? Is there an intro?
Sorry,
Okay.
no intro yet.
So
I'll work on it
before I
eventually.
before I start on the why you're wrong, I was showing these videos to my mom because I was letting her know what I was doing on the podcast. She goes, "There's two different versions of the video that you've done. There's one where you're yelling, you're angry, and there's one where you're calm. And I like the one where you're calm." And I was like, "Why?" And she goes, "Let's put it this way. I understand that you're airing grievances and you're irritated with people on the internet, but when you yell at people, they tend to not listen." I was like, "Oh, you know what? You're right." She goes, "And I know that you are the type of person that gets angry at those people that yell on the internet." And I go, "You're right." And she goes, "Maybe don't do that. I still like the segment where you point out people's flaws. Do it in a much more calm manner like you've done the last two times. And I think you'll have a better time." I was like, "All right." So from here on out, why you're wrong is still me airing grievances with the internet. However, I'm not going to be yelling and calling you names. So if you're entertained by me fucking losing my shit, sorry, but you know, when your mama tells you not so good, you kind of go, "All right."
Yep. One last for 2 episodes.
So this one, what I want to talk about is Anthem, but not the gameplay like we did earlier. I want to talk about what happened. So if you played it, congratulations. But also if you played it, you know that there was server issues right out the gate. Like the servers dropped as soon as it went live. Like they just died. When everything came back online, people couldn't get into the game at all. I sat around for, oh God, I want to say a few hours trying to get into the game. Couldn't. I let it sit for a little bit, and I was like, all right, I'm going to let everything kind of iron itself out. Wow, suddenly I'm really gassy. Oh, Burpcast, hashtag 2.0. I sat around for a few hours trying to get into the game, couldn't, walked away, came back, was able to get into the hub, like the first person section. I'm hitting my table. And then when I got to the javelin and tried to load into a match, it did this infinite load thing where it would hit like 95% loaded and then just stop. Turned out that was a big problem for everybody. The infinite loading screen. They finally, on Sunday, the last day that it was out, added a thing where it was like, if you exit the game, or end the client, if you will, quote unquote, and then join back in, as soon as you load into the server stage, it should say like, "Would you like to rejoin the mission you were currently doing?" And you'll just drop right into the mission you left out on, which is great because that's how I got to play. And but I know that still a lot of other people had issues with that. Now, here's what I want to say: if you are experiencing these with a beta, a demo, an alpha, an early access game, why are you allowing that to be your main impression of the game? I have seen tons of people say, "Well, I'm going to refund my pre-order because I couldn't get into the demo." It's like, wait, you didn't even play the game. You don't know what the final build's going to be like. You aren't doing any research to see if there's anybody else having these issues or if anybody important, like, I don't know, devs from BioWare, are publicly saying what's wrong. You're just jumping the gun here and saying the game is bad or that you're not going to play the game because it had server issues. Like, there were a few people, streamers, who had frame rate issues or like they couldn't, like the game just wasn't working right. When you did a little bit of research, which I did because I read a bunch of devs that talked about what was going on and all sorts of stuff, it was basically an old like floor demo version of the game that they were taking like packs and stuff like that. It had the capability of linking together, but not over the internet. Or at least they thought it could go over the internet. They were a little wrong. They essentially used that floor demo to appease EA. EA was like, "Look, we want to make money off this game. It's a AAA title. It's cost us millions of dollars. We need to make sure that this new IP makes money. And if you aren't willing to put out a taste to everybody, a demo, then what's the point? Which is why they called it a demo, not a beta, even though the devs considered it a beta. So in my mindset, I go, okay, making a game is a very, very, very hard, arduous process. It takes a lot of man hours and a lot of lost sleep to make a game. It really does. It's exhausting to make a game. It's expensive, very expensive. This game has been in development for 7 years. So none of y'all want to give them a little bit of a leeway? None of y'all want to go, oh, well, okay, I understand. We all know what kind of company EA is. We know that they're a corporation. They want to make their money. And we know what you guys are doing. So, okay, no worries. No big deal. We'll play the open beta. We understand that there was a problem. But I've seen too many people go, the game sucks. Really? Did you play it? Play like an hour of it? And you thought it sucked from that hour? That's a weird thought. I couldn't imagine walking into the theater and enjoying a film for a whole hour and then walking out. Could you? That'd be weird. I have a very hard time with this mentality. And it's not just Anthem. I see it all the fucking time. Like, a game is in early access. Like, let's take Atlas. This happened with Atlas. Like, it didn't work out right. People found ARC options within Atlas because it's essentially Atlas with a pirate skin. They've added a few extra mechanics to make it more piratey, but there it is. Atlas was in beta. Like, when it released, it's not the full fucking title. And it's going to have some bugs and some issues. Sure, there are mechanics that they built into the game, like the vitamin system, that suck. But, that's gameplay mechanic that you may critique, which I totally understand. If you don't like that, just say, I don't like that. Don't say the game sucks because you can't get into it. That makes 110% no sense to me. Now, if a game has a full release, so come, February 15th when Anthem releases and it has these same issues, then yeah, be upset. Tweet it out. But as of right now, there's no reason to be that angry. There's no reason to be that irritated. I get saying I'm upset that I only got to play like a day or a few hours. But when you go to the extent of saying, fuck BioWare, I hope they fucking burn to the ground and go bankrupt, you're kind of a dick. Like, full on. Like, you're wishing like hundreds of people to lose their jobs because you couldn't get into a beta. Like, that kind of makes you a monster in my eyes. Like, you're okay with people losing their jobs because you didn't get to do a thing for free. That was another thing that people don't understand. Like, if you pre-order, you can pre-order on PS4, on Steam, on Xbox without paying for the game at all. You can do that on all three platforms. You know what you can also do? Cancel a pre-order without having spent a dime. So when you go, oh, you have to pay for the game to just play the VIP demo. Nah, you don't. And if it's really that big of a problem for you to pre-order, wait a week. Wait a whole week. For crying out loud. My argument will be, if there's a beta or a demo, have some leeway. Give some distance. Go, this isn't a full representation of the game. This isn't the final product. I heard so many people go, it's a demo. It's a taste of the final version. No, it's not. And it says it as soon as you launch the game. It like full on says this is not a representative of the final product. There was even stuff left out because again, it's an old demo. Like there was no in-game voice communication. There was no public hub. None of that. Like it was very, very limited. Because again, what we saw was used on show floors to show people what the game was like. For Christ's sake, you can only level up between 10 and 15. You start at 10, you go to 15, that's max. There's just so much, and you can see where stuff is. You can see where, like, there's going to be microtransactions in the game. However, if you pay attention, you know that they're going to be cosmetic only. That you can pay for these, like, crystals and then buy skins for your mech and whatever. And you can also just earn them in-game. Will there be exclusive ones that you can only pay for only? Sure. But look at the world we live in. We're paying $60 for a game where we were paying $60 in the 80s. Inflation didn't touch gaming. So be lucky that we're paying $60. Or don't pay for AAA titles anymore and go play indie games. As simple as that. Make your choice. Stop being angry all the time. Stop being outraged because something didn't quite work out for you. These companies are working tirelessly to bring content to you. And if you were excited about Anthem and suddenly aren't because of what happened this last weekend, that speaks more about you than it does about them. It really, really does. And I for one, am glad you're not going to be in Anthem because I don't want to play with you. I don't want to have you around me when I'm trying to have fun. So that's why you're wrong.